What's up, guys? Here with you at FC Wonderkid, episode 113. Here with my guy, Breton. How are you?
I'm doing good, Alex, and I think we need to pop right into things. Normally, it's what? Transfers. But man, it's on steroids this week. We've got so much to talk about on top of Kylian Mbappé making everything about himself. Just kidding.
No.
U21 Euros, U19 Euros, under-the-radar transfers. There's a lot of work to be done, but how are you doing, Alex?
I'm doing so good because the inevitable move of Kylian Mbappé seems to be happening. Tic-tac. I completely agree with Chiringuito with that quote because it's tic-tac for Kylian Mbappé to join Real Madrid. He said it. Yeah. He said it. Yeah. Like, it's insane, the quotes that we saw. The press conference that Mbappé held today in Cameroon was unbelievable for every Real Madrid fan. He clearly stated, Mbappé stated in today's conversations with the journalists that if PSG didn't have a winning mentality to go and win a Champions League. And when asked why, what do they need? He said, don't ask me. I'm not the person to answer that question. That is Mbappe's attitude. Unreal. Yeah. And Mbappé had 41 goals and 9 assists. And we all know those stats in La Liga with a La Liga champion that wins a Champions League too, that's a Ballon d'Or. And he can't get that at PSG. And he's realized that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he realized that after he saw Lionel Messi leave, after he saw... I mean, what I need to kind of wrap my head around is what was the expectation when you give the guy, a young kid, 22, 23 at the time, the keys essentially to the castle, the keys to the decision-making, and then when the time comes for him to kind of own up, I mean, I guess he's doing his part on the pitch, but off the pitch, to call the locker room divisive, to call the ownership group divisive, I mean, we're talking about Real Madrid supporters. Almost feel bad for PSG supporters when it comes down to this. This is your marquee signing. This is the guy that was supposed to lead you to the promised land of winning your first ever Champions League. And here he is now passing the buck because in the end, him and two of the most famous and best players of all time in footballing history couldn't get it done. I don't think it's the ownership's group as much, or that it's got to be a 50-50 split for me. Mbappé and the ownership group at PSG. They did everything they could to make this happen. They couldn't get it done on the pitch. They picked wrong when it comes to the coaches leading them forward. So you know what? Excuse me if I'm not a little perturbed about his quotes, even if I do in some respects agree with them. And I would actually, as a Real Madrid, if I'm Florentino Perez, I would be looking at this and seeing maybe a red flag, at least one red flag that comes beyond the football playing ability that we all know Kylian Mbappé is capable of. But I'm looking at Kylian Mbappé and saying, this guy will turn on you the moment he gets a chance. So isn't that scary to think about?
For Florentino Perez, I completely agree. And Nasser Al-Khelaifi said after Mbappe's quotes to the media today, why doesn't he leave just now? The bomb has been released, and this is why the Mbappé leaving is now 100% real, people. Believe in what we're saying right now, because it's never been as inevitable that it is right now. And I think Doha and Qatar, since Mbappé sent that letter to Florentino Perez, they were humiliated, because we all know that in that letter was, in 2024, I will be signing for free to Real Madrid. No transfer. PSG is the losing team. After losing Messi, after losing Neymar, after losing everything that they could get and they wanted, which was the Champions League. Even the managers. There's no manager that has succeeded since Tuchel left, at PSG. It hasn't worked out. So a lot of question marks. And Nasser Al-Khelaifi was reportedly spoken from players that are arriving at the club saying that this is not the right mentality from a star player in the team. I bet Asensio was one of them. Asensio was one of them. So you're doing exactly what you need to do for Mbappé inevitably to go to Real Madrid. I really believe he was one of those players saying, Nasser, Come on, we don't need players like this in our locker room. And understandably so. I think Mbappé will never have another training session at PSG. It's over.
I mean, it already seems, and I haven't been able to verify this, but it already seems like he's been pulled off of some marketing materials for some friendlies that they're going to be playing in the near future. But listen, we're going to talk about Real Madrid more in a little bit, because obviously if you can look past what I see as a red flag from a personality standpoint and from like I own everything and I'd rather, chat with Kim Kardashian and whatnot, a type of Galactico edition, no doubt it would be to Real Madrid. I'm actually pretty damn excited, excuse my language, with the PSG refresh. Let it happen. Clearly throwing beaucoup bucks at really, really solid players and expecting the personalities just to mesh, for them to just ingratiate everyone else on the team to them and make them play an incredibly fluid style of football. That didn't work. So now you move on to getting the right person in charge. You've got Luis Enrique. I would think that that's a good start. And now you start getting shrewd business deals done to build a core. Asensio getting his chance to shine and be a marquee player for PSG, I think is going to go a whole lot better than most people are going to give it credit for. And on top of that, all of this overshadows what I think is one of their most solid signings in the last few years, and that's Manuel Ugarte. Nobody's talking about him now. Why? Because Kylian Mbappé made it about himself. And Manuel Ugarte deserves to be talked about because $60 million makes him the second most expensive transfer in sporting history, not including inflation. But it is huge because he led the Champions League in tackles won. He led the Primera Liga in tackles won. And this kid's a warrior. And I salivate thinking about him, Zaire Emery, thinking about Vitinha, thinking about this midfield that can actually come up and do some fun stuff in Liga. And I bet you, they, in a year or two, can make a good run in the Champions League, because it's not about star power as much as it is about building a team. So I'd rather look more at that PSG positives if supporters out there are trying to grasp for anything after this Mbappe, you said it best, Mbappe bomb that just hit.
With Luis Enrique, as it seems to. And I think it's not surprising, because I think they could happen. Neymar staying at PSG. Because one of the best Neymars I've ever seen was with Luis Enrique, if not the best. So if he manages to convince Neymar and do a correct rebuild, we could see a PSG team doing better bits this season. More of a united group, and I do believe that midfield is much better. And signings like Miles Skriniar that are underrated too, in my view. But seriously, going back with Mbappe, why will Mbappe 100% go to Real Madrid too? Because his mother has officially opened a soccer agency. And if you have a football agency, you got to make the right deals for your clients. And Mbappe's mother wants the best for Mbappe. And the best thing that could happen this summer to him is going to Real Madrid and winning the next Ballon d'Or after that. Because that's the most likely thing to happen at Real Madrid. Mbappe, that happening. And it's not unusual to see parents or family members being the agents of top players, especially at the elite level. We see Neymar, we see Messi, we even see Harry Kane. Harry Kane, his agent, is his brother. Pretty easy job, though, if you ask me. But this summer, he's going to get the real test. But Mbappe's mother has gained 600 million in the space of 5 years with Mbappe. Moves to leaving Monaco, and now with PSG, even that extension. I can't imagine how much money that was involved. So that's why PSG feel betrayed. And let's see now if they're going to let her rip and him going to Real Madrid. And because we even saw Arsenal. Let me just ask you this, Breton. If you were Kylian Mbappe and you had to go to the Premier League between Arsenal and Liverpool, who would you go?
First off, Americans own both of those, and if I could never see Stan Kroenke actually okaying a compensation package for Kylian Mbappe. So sorry to throw water on that, but as of right now, I don't know. I mean, Arsenal is very clearly trending up, and I'm sorry I don't have a quick answer for you because it's so much more nuanced than that. Obviously, right now, everything feels like it's going Arsenal's way. I have a feeling like 2023, 2024 might throw a little speed bump in that because it feels too good. I think Liverpool is going to have a massive come up. I think they've shown that they can remain relevant even amidst last year, and they've been incredibly dominant if you take out Manchester City over the last few years. So I would actually say Liverpool.
It's interesting. They definitely have options to at attack, so I'd like that. But reportedly, by Independent, they were saying Arsenal was Mbappe's first choice. So if Arsenal sign him, that would be Thierry vibes, and he wins, that would be insane. Saliba, convince Mbappe, but let's see. But people, put down below your thoughts about the Mbappe deal, and if you agree with me that it will happen next week, do you think it will, Breton?
I do. I think
Sorry.
it's put up or shut up now. PSG's got to do it. They got to get the money they want, and Kylian Mbappe has got to make the move. He's pigeonholed himself. It's Champions League and Ballon d'Or or bust for Kylian Mbappe. And so,
because the bomb has
been dropped.
The best player in the world. That's the level. Yeah. Because if he's going to those Michael Rubin parties, Kylian Mbappe, he's got to be the best player in the world. Tom Brady was there. And I don't know, elite people, Kim Kardashian as it seems. I don't know, but
yeah, man. and if it doesn't work out, blame Kim Kardashian. I think we can all come back to that, right?
Oh my days, that's. But keeping with the Real Madrid standpoint, Real Madrid went bold. I saw so much news last week. Barca's going to sign Arda Güler, Barca this, Barca that. Florentino Perez wouldn't let that happen again. Since that Neymar transfer, Florentino Perez wants the elite Wonderkids all to join Real Madrid. Hendrik signed, Rodrigo, Vinicius, and now even Arda Güler. Barcelona fans can't catch a break. They shouldn't say these rumors.
No, it was an incredibly shocking 180. I was very, very surprised. Even because I felt Arda Güler, especially for the compensation. I mean, he ended up going for 20 million euros plus another 10 million potentially of add-ons. This is in the wheelhouse of what Barca can get done. And I'm just kind of shocked that it turned this way. And it brought me to thinking, if you're a young footballer right now, watching these two, behemoths of Spanish football go at it for talent, where would you pick?
Arda Güler, I would go to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
I think it was the right choice for Arda Güler. Being a young Turkish kid, seeing Ozil growing up, he must have been inspired. And he even said, I had so many offers, but they all lost value the moment Real Madrid's kicked in. That is a true Madridista that has the dream to succeeding as a Galáctico. And I really believe that Arda Güler, by the end of the season, he'll be a super sub at Real Madrid. At least that. I think I'm more hyped for Arda Güler than Brahim Diaz. I know Brahim Diaz played well at Serie A, but as a super sub, Arda Güler, something can happen, man. And seeing the development, learning with Modric, learning with Kroos, learning with these vets, and with the talent that he possesses, that first goal in that Turkish national team, that speaks levels. Watch out for Arda Güler with Real Madrid. This is going to be historic, this transfer window, Breton. I'm feeling
it. It is. It feels it. And the Real Madrid project, speaks volumes right now because this midfield, and there's no guarantee they hold on to all of this talent. They might need to fund certain Kylian Mbappe signing, which we'll talk about. But come on, Jude Bellingham, Aurelien Tchouameni, Eduardo Camavinga, Arda Güler, Brahim Diaz, learning from Toni Kroos, learning from Luka Modric, Federico Valverde's there for now. I mean, this collection of talent in the midfield is absolutely stunning. Even if you lose a piece or two, it's still stunning. And what I love about Güler is he's still a canvas. He's still a blank canvas, I should say. He still is somebody that can be molded in any way that not Florentino Perez, but Ancelotti sees fit. And what it comes down to for me, what can, who is the next boss? Who is the next boss? That's what I need to understand, because Ancelotti is only going to have a season with him. And who is going to be the person that actually paints this canvas that is Arda Güler? Because he's not an out winger. He's more of an inverted winger, likes to come in. He could play as a 10. He could play a little defense. There's so much that's good about Arda Güler. How do you use him in this current setup? And right now, if you plug him into last year's 4-3-3, I don't think it's going to work as well as some people think it is. So there's got to be shifts, but he's 18. So where do you go from this?
It's true. I agree with that. And Ancelotti will not be staying long term, but what I want to focus that I think Real Madrid is focusing to is on the future. And in order to convince the right manager and the right project, you need to have the players established. And the promising thing about this window is seeing the future of Real Madrid sign in this window. I'm going to say this. Real Madrid this summer will have an iconic summer like in 2009. I'm going to say that because Mbappé will cost like 200 million. Jude Bellingham, that was 100. Joselu, great transfer. Fran Garcia, great transfer. Brahim Diaz, coming back, that's a good deal. And Arda Güler, like such a talent, a true Madridista too. This is going to be remembered long term. I really believe in that case. And Arda Güler, the signing, the Twitter post signing, was the third most liked post ever in transfer news history. Only beaten by Cristiano Ronaldo going to Man United and PSG signing Lionel Messi. Those were the two most liked. And Arda Güler's third. Like, the Turkish fans are insane. So the hype is so real. But Arda Güler happened. But Barca did moves too. Barca had to answer. And I didn't know. I thought Vitor Roque was going to cost like 40 million. And his release clause was 40 million. I was shook when I'm seeing 75 million, including variables,
it's a lot.
Is how much Vitor Roque is going to cost. And the most expensive signings ever leaving Brasileirão, number one is Neymar Jr. for 88 million. Number two is now Vitor Roque for 75 million going to Barca in January. And number three is Hendrik that left Palmeiras that's going to Real Madrid for 72 million. It's happening now. And we know Rodrigo, Vinicius, all of them have happened in the past. Reinier Jesus didn't work out, but that happened. So seeing these three transfers now, it speaks of the attention Brasileirão is starting to get.
And here comes the financial policeman that nobody cares about. But where are you getting these funds? And now, from what I've heard, at least on this side of the pond, is that it's a significant amount less upfront, and that a lot of it is structured in terms of Vitor Roque and what's going to happen there. And a lot of it is also add-ons that he may or may not hit. And I think, like, winning a Champions League might be one of the clauses. So it might be a little more financially shrewd than maybe we're going to be giving it credit for. But it very clearly needs to likely be funded with some outgoings, right? And Barca is not like Chelsea unloading everybody that they currently want to get rid of as fast as they would like to. So it is going to be interesting to see how they fund it, just like we know that there likely has to be outgoings when it comes to funding. What'd you say? 200 million potentially for a Kylian Mbappe?
Plus salary. They can't, plus salary.
Yeah, plus salary. You can't fund that without having a few of your first 11 easily going out the door. And I know, you and I offline have talked about, is it Federico Valverde that leaves? Is it or Aurelien Tchouameni, who I feel like only just got there? But what's so insane about this Arda Güler versus Vitor Roque, Real Madrid, Barcelona, it's obviously got everybody back in the Clasico game.
Exactly.
Right? It's got everybody outside of Real Madrid fans and Barcelona fans, whether you're taking a side, right? You're taking a side when it comes to this, right? Who are you backing in the future? And while it isn't, I think, as momentous, if Mbappe happens, it is as momentous, but it isn't as momentous yet as the yesteryear of Messi, of the yesteryear of the Galacticos 2.0 of Real Madrid, but it is on its way, and that in and of itself is exciting. Most importantly, because they're signing incredibly skilled, exciting, young, wonderful talents that I can't do anything but get excited about.
Bellingham, they literally stole the best English talent that they could get, Jude Bellingham, from Premier League football, Real Madrid. Yeah. That happened. And something that Vitor Roque professionally has 5,935 minutes played. He's got 35 goals and 11 assists at Cruzeiro, at Atlético Paranaense, and for the Brazilian national team played. Insane at such a young age. And Xavi, with his development that he has been doing with other players, with Vitor Roque, I am hyped and with high expectations. Because Xavi knows how to develop young players, as we've seen this past year with Balde, with Pedri, with Gavi. We're going to see it with Vitor Roque, and he's going to improve massively too, learning with Lewandowski ahead of him. I am hyped to see in January what happens. Woo! I'm so hyped. And Lamine Yamal even. 15? Yeah. He's already played.
Yeah, he's apparently about to get a contract extension, or actually a professional contract of some sort. We'll see what happens, but they are ready to commit assets, and it shouldn't take too much to make sure that Lamine Yamal does not go the way of some other La Masia talents. And that's the crazy thing here, is that for every Lamine Yamal, for every big signing that they bring in, Barcelona is definitely beating Real Madrid in one thing, and that is creating a lot of talents that go on to kick butt elsewhere, right? So we all saw Ferran Jutgla, right? We also, like, Nico Gonzalez did okay at Valencia last year. He might get a chance in the first team this year. We'll see, or at least in the squad this year. There you go, because he has to be sold, right? But on top of that, you're also letting guys go like Victor Barbera, who is the star right now at the U19 Euros. Again, he's probably not going to play for Barcelona's first team, but they let him go for free. They could have sold him last year, right? So there's still a lot of improvement that could be made on funding these things, but the academy, La Masia, is going to play a massive part in that, and could be a funding machine, not like, a little bit like what Manchester City has turned into. And they should look at that more. Be unapologetic about requesting the right amount of funds for the talent that you actually build up. Otherwise, be upfront with them and tell them, you're not getting into this first team. We're going to sell you off so you can have a career elsewhere.
It's true. I agree with that. Barca needs to do better their offloading of talent. Completely agree with that. Because they can't play them all. Completely agree. But tell us down below your thoughts about Real Madrid and Barca transfers. We want to see your thoughts in the comment section. And transfers, just want to say, De Gea, an icon, 12 years at Man United, but the end of an era was definitely necessary. He leaves with the Golden Glove. That shows and remarks even more that he is a legend, but Onana is very needed. And Onana at Man United will definitely be one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Lisandro Martinez, Varane ahead of them. A midfield that's rejuvenated with Mason Mount coming, with Casemiro leading it too, with Bruno. Eric Ten Hag era, high expectations for what's coming next season. Man United, I'm pretty surprised. Yeah. Onana. They still, they've already got their man.
I think I'm going to throw it out there. I don't want to be that negative Nancy guy, but I am going to throw it out there. Andre Onana had a phenomenal season, no doubt. One of the biggest reasons why Inter Milan wound up in the Champions League final. Okay? Yes. Say that. Get that out of the way. He is also known for some gaffes. Okay? With his time at Ajax, with his time at other places. Okay? So, we're going to throw that out there. I'm just saying, Manchester United, this is not the finished product. If you're expecting him to be less error-prone than a David De Gea, he's not. He's not. He will make mistakes. In fact, he's crap at distribution for the most part.
No.
But Andre Onana is one hell of a shot stopper.
Onana's great passing the ball. He's great passing the ball. That's one of his best traits. He's the sweeper keeper. He's known for that.
Yeah, he's not as good as people are making him out to be.
What? I disagree. I think Onana...
His career levels previous to the one season he spent at Inter Milan speaks volumes to that. But Inter Milan, if we're going off of this last season, which the 60 million likely is going off this last season, because remember, he missed a whole season, right? For
doping reasons.
Other purposes.
Yes.
Yep. But he very much so is, I think, being bought at the peak of his value.
Exactly.
I really, really do think so. And not the peak of his ability necessarily. And I think he might revert to the mean. But with that said, the fact, listen, De Gea, that had to happen. 12 years at the club. It was Ferguson that signed him. It was so many games, captain, so many ups, so many downs. But when it comes down to it, there's no doubt he was one hell of a servant for the club. It was wages that spoke, right? I'd rather bring in Onana, who is still a young goalkeeper, and yes, this is me saying positive things about Onana, and work with him at much less wages than to continue paying De Gea what it was, which didn't feel enough based on his form as of the last few years. And we're talking about the Golden Glove winner, right? We're talking about the guy that, prevented a bunch of goals and had the most clean sheets in the Premier League last season. But when it comes down to it, I don't think Onana's an upgrade. I don't. But I think that he is the financially right move to be done.
Onana's ball distribution is so good. He's one of the best goalkeepers in the world with it.
Okay. We'll see.
And
I'll be watching the Premier League. I don't want to see him fail. I'm just saying that. I just don't think he's as good as everyone's making him out to be.
I think he makes some bad decisions sometimes, and he does big mistakes. Okay, in which I think the not the worst trait, but the thing that Onana improved a lot this season was his focus and concentration. That was a big thing that he lacked. And at Ajax, the best Onana was with Erik ten Hag. Ten Hag. So I'm going with that. True. And I really believe that United have struck a really good deal. But Onana, great deal. Midfield, sorted. But they still need to get rid of Maguire, and they need to get a striker. Okay? Because Maguire in that locker room, as a captain, ain't going to happen anymore. Because if that's the deal, they will not win the Premier League. They can't. Top 4, that was shocking to happen. But to win a title, competing against Liverpool better, Arsenal better, Chelsea better even. I think Chelsea against Man United if they don't get a striker. Oh my days. Both teams, Man United and Chelsea, are desperate to land a striker.
Well,
got to say that.
I'm going to have to say it. Yeah, I'm going to have to say it right now. I mean, the Mauricio Pochettino. Goodness. my head is everywhere. I'm sorry. Pochettino connection with Harry Kane, that's got to mean something. That has to mean something, does it not? Chelsea has the wherewithal to sign him, but you don't think it does because Harry Kane played some of his best football. They had some of their best success at Tottenham under Pochettino.
I do think they have an excellent relationship to them two off the football pitch, but I think what Chelsea needs to fix their biggest problem, and it's the uncertainty for the future. Pochettino needs to get results. Nkunku, great move. Levi Colville, they need to keep Levi Colville. Get Moises Caicedo to be with Enzo, and they need to fix their striker issue too. But Chelsea have positives. These mentioned, like I said, they have to keep Levi Colville. They have to get Moises Caicedo with Enzo. But they have Reece James there too. So they have talent to surround these players, and a great decision. I have to say, big applause to Chelsea for bringing back John Terry. The biggest problem, I think, at Chelsea is that the culture is disappearing. The culture that people like John Terry built at Stamford Bridge. He won 15 trophies, and he played 580 games as a captain for Chelsea. And those youth players need a legend like him at Chelsea to ingrain them the code and the right culture of the Blues. And that's why I believe that the future of Chelsea is in really good hands, because Coben, Mount has come out, Reece James has come out, Levi Colville has come out. These are English national team level players, and many more players will leave with John Terry helping that development. And Pochettino will even help that too. Like, Pochettino is a rebuild manager, and I understand his appointment, but will he win a Champions League? He went to a final.
About John Terry, Alex, all I got to say about that is, what took you so long? I mean, bring him back. He should have been there. He should have probably never left. What the heck was he doing at Leicester City? Okay? And when it comes down to it, he's actually going to have to be probably called upon to act as a liaison between the massive amount of center backs they still have on the roster when they don't have a whole lot of fixtures heading into the season because they don't have European football to play. They don't have European football to play. So you're going to see some offloading still happening there. But the defense I'm less worried about. We were talking about the forward when it comes to Stamford Bridge, right? And I just think if you're looking at this, they're going to overthink this. They're going to overthink this and over-litigate this striker decision, and probably understandably so, because they have had, based on their standards and what they're trying to do with a refresh, they have had terrible recruitment when it comes to attackers as of late. Not attackers that just came in, but previous to it. Kai Havertz didn't work out. Raheem Sterling coming over for 55 or whatever that was. Man City saying thank you for that money. Hakeem Ziyech, Timo Werner, Aubameyang. I mean, Lukaku we haven't even talked about. So when it comes down to it, it's crucial, once again, we say it, I feel like every 6 months, it's crucial that they get the right person. The right person is Harry Kane. The right person has to be Harry Kane, not Rasmus Winter-Holland, not, Nicholas Jackson yet. Everyone telling me that Nicholas Jackson is not going to be Chelsea's main nine. I'm not so sure of that, because there's only one answer in the Premier League, and it's Harry Kane. That's it.
To win the Premier League, or to fight to win the Prem, Man United most definitely need Harry Kane. But Chelsea, that would be, to convince that would be, but Chelsea too, 8 players have left in this transfer window, and I think there's going to be even more players. You're going to see more than 10, and they've earned more than 200 million. So I'm really hyped to see what Pochettino does with Casade, with players like that I have still doubts, and Andrés Santos. I want to say to everyone, everyone in the world, Andrés Santos is going to at least have a preseason with Pochettino, and then we're going to see what happens. He's not going to Porto. He's not going to Barca before he plays minutes for Chelsea. We need to see what they bought. So I want to just say that to the world. Andrés Santos is still not for sale, or he shouldn't be, at least, for sale.
And the most likely incoming as of late is still Moises Caicedo, who you mentioned previously, and I think that it's going to happen. But Brighton is doing the right thing here. Brighton is doing the right thing. They realize that the Declan Rice deal, and no, I'm not equating Caicedo necessarily to Declan Rice, but I don't know. But the Declan Rice deal set the bar. It set the bar. And they're looking at Moises Caicedo and they're saying, well, if we previously wanted 50 or 60, it's got to be 80, 90, maybe even 100 million or bust. Because if you want him that bad, pay it.
Yeah,
pay it up.
It's true.
And I applaud Brighton for that, as long as they don't, bring back big bad Moises Caicedo on Instagram, like we previously saw post-World Cup, if I remember correctly. Remember that?
Yeah, that's true. That is true. And then they get an extension with him. So he was earning 4,000 a week. And he was being one of the best.
Travesty.
And but then he got an extension to get 80,000 after that post. So I do understand that was a bit of a power move, but I think this summer Brighton will be selling. They sold McAllister already, and I think they're going to be selling McAllister too. But it's interesting that we mentioned Chelsea and Brighton with these two players, Moises Caicedo and Levi Colwill. But people, put down below in the comment section, who do you believe will be the Man United striker, the Chelsea striker, and where will Levi Colwill be next season? Because that is still a question mark. But for all Chelsea fans, they hope it's at Chelsea. But we wanted to say to you guys, transfers. We want to tell you transfers under the radar, okay, this summer that you must pay attention, that will have a huge influence in the top 7 leagues, maybe, or let's see, even top 8 leagues. We're going to mention it at Visa a bit, Primera Liga from my end, League 1.
Yeah, we are.
We're going to mention a ton of leagues, so I'm excited to see what you're going to say, Breton.
Well, yeah. You want me to start is what I'm hearing. Okay. I'm going to start. We mentioned previously Barcelona. Very, very good at creating phenomenal prospects that go on. And there are 2. So I'm going to put these together.
Okay.
The one is Victor Barbera, who I already mentioned, getting picked up on a free by Club Brugge. A great next step for him at 18, 19 years old. This kid is going to go there. He's going to learn under Ferran Jutgla and some others that they brought in. It's a great next step for him and a very under-the-radar transfer that you need to watch. Now, I don't even know if he has a card on So Rare and some of the other places that people like to pick this stuff up, but Barbera is one I am excited about as he's showing in the U19 Euros. But the one I really wanted to mention was somebody that's going to Kik Setien's setup at Villarreal, and that's Barca product, Ilyas Akumak. 19 years old, phenomenal winger, very, very, very talented. Knew he was probably never going to, on a free, and realized that he probably was never going to get a shot in that first team. And I think Villarreal is the next great best step because Kik Setien has already given chances to Nicholas Jackson. He's given chances to Jeremy Pino, Alex Baena. There's like one more, but those three are pretty big for how good Villarreal has been. So going to the Yellow Submarine for Akumak is a guy that you need to watch, and I think he's going to get attention from Setien right away and get quite a bit of La Liga time this season. But we'll see.
Interesting mention. And I'm going to go to Belgium a bit because I think Belgium deserves a ton of mentions because the Belgium league was very interesting and they're definitely under the radar. I'm going to say Royal Saint-Gilloise has Teddy Tillman. He's going to be leaving. The captain. He's from Malta. A player from Malta is balling out in the Belgian league. He was the captain too. Okay, 10 goals, 12 assists, and another player leaving Royal Saint-Gilloise is Adingra. Pay attention to Adingra that's going to Brighton because he's going to ball out. So Teddy Tillman and Adingra, 2 players from Royal Saint-Gilloise that you must pay attention under the radar. And if Boniface leaves, you must pay attention to him too. 9 goals and 7 assists in the Belgian league. Very complete, strong striker that has excellent positional awareness. Boniface, another Nigerian striker, killing it in the club level scene. So those are my two first.
I love the love that you just gave Teddy Tuma because he's not one that people really speak about, but he is one of the biggest reasons. Yeah, why Saint-Gilloise almost was able over the last 2 seasons to actually win a title, considering that they were only promoted a few years ago. So that's pretty great stuff. But my next one is going to be kind of, this is less under the radar than, whatever. But it just happened. And he's a player that you and I have been high on this whole season. He's at the U21 Euros, and that's Enzo Lefebvre going to Stade Rennais, and it works perfectly because it rhymes. But no, I think it's more for me. Enzo Lefebvre going to Rennes is more for me how unloved and how unspoken about most of the time that Stade Rennais gets. They don't get talked about enough, and their recruitment is absolutely phenomenal. And while it's not exponential all the way to the top, they have seen, I think they've been no short of 5th or 6th place the last 4 seasons. They've been 3rd maybe twice. And they every year have some players that they can sell off, whether it's players they developed or players that they brought in shrewd deals. Enzo Lefebvre was brought in for, I think, 20 million. And that is a shrewd deal because he could go for 40, 45, 50 in the very near future. But, I just need to spend 2 more seconds on Rennes because this is a team that still has Jeremy Doku. It's a team that still, for right now, has Lovre Majer. They are a team that have Kalimuendo and Amin Gouiri, right? Guys that you can build on. Martin Terrier before he hurt himself last year. I really do feel that with this PSG refresh coming up, whether or not Neymar stays, I really do feel like this particular season is a season like the Lille season where a good team that gets hot at the right moment and stays hot the majority of the season can do some damage and potentially break PSG's stranglehold on the League One title.
Interesting.
And I hope, I'm going to say it right now, because you ready for this? My name is Breton, and they're from the Breton region of France. I hope it's Stade Rennais. I would love to see it happen. Last season, it was Lorient that sat atop. That's where Enzo Lefebvre is coming from. They sat atop Ligue 1 for a little while. If Stade Rennais does it this season, you're going to make I will be a fan of the Rouge et Noir for life if they can get things done.
Doku is one of the best wingers. Amin Gouiri, one of the best strikers. Enzo Lefebvre, one of the best midfielders. Lovre Majer, one of the best creative midfielders. So in many positions, Terrier was one of the best wingers in terms of numbers in the past 2 seasons in the Liga. So Stade Rennes will definitely be contenders. I'm with you.
Right, and Stade Rennais is an academy that they gave us Eduardo Camavinga. They gave us Ousmane Dembele. They gave us Matisse Tel, who still has yet to, he will get going at Bayern. We're sure of it. And right now they've got Desiree Doué, who is the next man up. And they're also going to sign Janul Balokian, who is lesser known. He's a center back. He is going to be one that breaks out for Stade Rennais. So this was less an under-the-radar transfer. It was more an under-the-radar club that I would watch this season because I will be.
And I agree with you. Under the radar transfers and Club 2, Stade Rennes, they've been doing good business. And so I got some Liga 2 players too that have left Portugal to go to Liga. Lille have signed 2 fullbacks, or they have signed 1 fullback most definitely, which is Tiago Santos from Estoril, right back for 6.5 million. Pay attention, okay? Offensively, he's one of the best, and for a 19-year-old, he should be in the under-21s of Portugal. He dominated the Portuguese league, especially at the end when Estoril didn't want it to go in a relegation battle, but which they won. Which they won with a player like Tiago Santos. And my other player is Leonardo Lelo from Casa Pia, left back. So Lille, next season, will have 2 fullbacks, the young fullbacks that were balling out in Primeira Liga, Tiago Santos from Estoril, and Leonardo Lelo from Casa Pia. So great recruitment, once again, from Lille here in Portugal. They've signed Tiago Jaló. They got Rafael Leão in the past. They just know who to get here in Portugal at a cheap price. So those 2 players... Pay attention to them, people. Tiago Santos and Leonardo Lelo.
I was going to ask you more about Tiago Santos because, that's right in your neighborhood. Literally right around the corner from you, right? Estoril. And I know you've probably seen him quite a bit. But, hey, at least they're actually signing out-and-out fullbacks instead of making Timothy Weah play there. Leo, at least. That's all right, true. My next one for you is also kind of less under the radar. If you're an American listener, you likely have been hit over the head with Ricardo Pepi to Peter Bosch's PSV Eindhoven, but I really don't think people are giving it enough credit. Okay, did not work out at Augsburg. A lot of that was because of how he played. He was then sent on loan to Groningen, which, also did not work out, but he managed double-digit goals in a very incredibly poor side with incredibly poor service, but he stuck with it, had his work ethic, kept his pressing going. Ricardo Pepi just landed about a 10 million euro move to PSV Eindhoven, and this kid is still young. He's hungry. He needs to now battle in a U.S. setup with a certain Folarin Balogun. So this kid wants to prove himself. And if you're going to PSV, you're going there not just for Bosch to teach you how to play striker, but to learn as much as you can from Luc de Jong and to set up as much as you can a wonderful playing relationship with guys like Xavi Simons, with Johan Bakayoko, and the guys behind him. So I am stoked to see what Pepi can do. And I am going to say it right now, double-digit goals again if he gets the playing time that I think he's going to get. I think he could go as high as about 15 or 16 goals in the Eredivisie this season.
Ooh, the right move. U.S. men's national team striker in the future competing with Balogun. Ricardo Pepi. Oh, great to see.
Got it.
Great to see Ricardo Pepi. And I think it's a great move for him because he was working out at Groningen, like you said. I wanted to put transfers under the radar to some free transfers because I think there were some good free transfers done. I'm going to mention 2 by one club and 1 by Bayern Munich. The Bayern Munich free transfer, Rafael Güler, deserves more attention, leaving Dortmund to Bayern Munich. It's clearly an upgrade from him. He's going to win the 13th Bundesliga title, most likely, and he will be much more talked in the international scheme of things, Rafael Güler, with the possibility of maybe Alphonso Davies leaving in 2-3 years' time. Rafael Güler could have the spotlight. And my other 2 players under the radar is Usema Aor going to Roma and Endika going to Roma too. 2 free transfers. Mourinho seems to know how to do this with Belotti, with Dybala in the past, because Dybala too could be leaving for a 12 million release clause to the outside clubs of the Serie A. But once again, we see great deals done by Roma, great deals done by Mr. Pinto and Mourinho. And I wanted to give a highlight to that because I consider them under the radar. And Fratelli to Inter, it's not really talked in the English press. Like I don't see it being talked big. Maybe in Italy it's talked big, but Fratelli to Inter is a big deal too, in my view. One of the best Italian midfielders in the world. So great play.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I love Evan Ndika is a guy that doesn't get enough credit. He didn't when he was in the Bundesliga, and I think he likes it that way. I believe now he's an Ivorian international, but at one point, I mean, with the long list of defenders with French heritage, he was never necessarily going to get a shout, but he should do really, really well for AS Roma. All right, well, my last...
Ndika and Adingra, we've mentioned in this video. It's Italian and Ivory Coast.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. You could build quite a healthy list. Amad Diallo, Hamed Traore, who's now in the Bundesliga as well, or the Premier League. But going to the Bundesliga, that's where my head was at, where you just came from, because Evan Indigo was signed from there. I have to say, Xabi Alonso's staying at Bayer Leverkusen does everybody a world of good. That's a great thing. I want to see another season of him at Bayer Leverkusen. I also want to see him now with a midfield general, 25 million for him. Granit Xhaka is going to be great there. But the big signing that I like the most is a guy that also does not get enough credit. He was Gladbach's talisman for the last couple seasons, but it is Jonas Hoffman. Jonas Hoffman will not get talked about as the flashiest of players, but what you don't understand is that this guy manages to get on the end of a ball or to deliver a proper ball when he can, and it works in the Bundesliga, and Leverkusen needs exactly that, so they don't have to rely on Florian Wirtz or Moussa Diaby that much. Jonas Hoffman is, I believe he had 26 goal involvements in just 33 starts last season, and he is an immediate upgrade in that midfield, in that injury-prone midfield for Xabi Alonso. I think Xabi Alonso, he's 30, but I think Xabi Alonso is going to do a world of good for him and make him a mainstay in the German kind of refresh that's happening right now in the national team. So great, beautiful signing, and I don't even know if I don't think it broke the bank. It might be free. I think it's free.
Unreal.
Could be.
Unreal that you're mentioning that transfer, because it's a great deal when you have maybe Diaby leaving in the future and you need players that give guarantees in terms of goal. And I'm going to say, since we're mentioning, it's not under the radar but Florian Wirtz that you mentioned Leverkusen, I think Florian Wirtz and Jamal Musiala next season, when Nkunku leaves, they highly have a chance to be the best players in the Bundesliga. Okay? I know Kimmich is the best player too, and Jude Bellingham last season, but with these two, the spotlight is now open. So go bold. Or Benjamin Sesko, that can be under the radar for many people, but I said it. I believe he can get 20 Bundesliga goals if everything goes right with RB Leipzig. Don't sleep on that. In Siewald, right? Great midfielder too, that can provide those assists. 2 under-the-radar transfers that are power moves from Red Bull Salzburg to Red Bull Leipzig. My final player under the radar that I want to say is Fran Navarro, that went from Gil Vicente to Futebol Clube Porto. Pay attention to this move, because Taremi could be leaving Futebol Clube Porto. And Taremi leaving is great news for many European giants that need a striker, because he can get more than 15 goals in any league. Taremi. I'm going to go bold and say that. I believe in Taremi, and I think he wants to make an impression worldwide because he's Iranian and he has a point to prove. You can see it. He wants Premier League. But if he gets Serie A to Roma, which is being reportedly big time, it would be a great deal. But Fran Navarro, signed from Gil Vicente from Porto, 17 league goals, great transfer. Pay attention to him, people. Fran Navarro from Futebol Clube Porto.
Serious question. How much would Taremi cost?
15 to 20 million.
Why would AC Milan not do that?
I agree. I think they're just being cheap because it's a 1-year contract. He needs to finish, and he's 30 years old. But the output of Taremi is more than 15 league goals, 2 seasons, definitely. He's 30. Yeah. So I think you should go for him. No, definitely, Breton.
And you're relying right now on Olivier Giroud, right? Who is great, but he's 36, 37 years old, and he's not going to last too much longer. So 7 years his junior, 6 years his junior seems a whole lot of good to put that money on. I think they also need a right winger, and they might be close to it. But I had to bring up AC Milan. It's not under the radar. But for our American listeners and any others out there following this Chelsea exodus, right? Forced exodus, and they're making good money doing it. So let's be honest there. Christian Pulisic has found a new home, and those of us out there watching his ups and downs, more downs as of late in a Chelsea shirt, know that he still has put his moments in a Chelsea shirt in the rear view. I mean, the guy won a Champions League trophy with them. The guy scored a massive goal in the Champions League semifinals against Real Madrid and assisted one to get them to the final that they ended up winning thanks to Kai Havertz. Also gone. He will always have the hat trick versus Burnley. But one thing is very certain. Christian Pulisic needs to play day in, day out. He needs to be kept healthy somehow. And he needs to work for a manager that wants him there. And Stefano Pioli specifically requested Christian Pulisic to come in. And the more I think about it, the more I absolutely love this for CP10, because Rafa Leao, so much attention is going to be paid to him. The right wing's still a question mark, Salamakers, Messias, whoever it is. But him linking back up with a whole bunch of Chelsea castoffs makes me so excited, because the Rossoneri are going to have a chip on their shoulder that's a little bit blue, because now you've got Fikayo Tomori, Christian Pulisic, Olivier Giroud, Ruben Loftus-Cheek now, that all wore that Chelsea badge, that want to go and that want to make it not a one-off thing, AC Milan winning the Scudetto again. So CP10 finally finding a home. He's 24. He's got so much to do. And I really hope it happens here. I really hope it happens here, but I'm excited about it. Tell me you. I mean, what's your non-biased take on it?
My non-biased
like
take,
Pulisic?
I think it's the right deal for Chelsea to get rid of Christian Pulisic, and I think it's the right move for Christian Pulisic. So he's going to be paying attention. It's the right move for him. And I am excited to see what's going to happen. But tell us, you guys, tell us your under-the-radar transfers to watch and what you think about Pulisic going to AC Milan. And do not forget to like this video if you're listening until now, people. Boo! But I wanted to say, start bench sell. Since you're mentioning Pulisic this, Pulisic that, what do you think about the move to Milan? I wanted to ask you another question, Breton. Since it's the last time I can do it, because these three players will not be together at Chelsea anymore. Who would you start bench sell between Christian Pulisic, Mykhailo Mudryk, and Raheem Sterling? Who would you start bench sell with these three players, Breton? Do you have any choices?
My gosh. Okay, this is where my bias comes through. But listen, Christian Pulisic against Mexico is Christian Pulisic. That's the one I know. That's who I know. Okay, but if we're using Chelsea form, it becomes a whole lot more difficult. Christian Pulisic right now, I'm going to say I'm going to start Christian Pulisic. I'm going to bench Mykhailo Mudryk because I think he's still got a lot to learn and a massive ceiling. And I'm going to sell Raheem Sterling because he hasn't really done too much for anyone as of late. And the best move that was made was Manchester City selling Raheem Sterling and taking $55 million for that. CP10 is 24, and when he's injured, he doesn't do anyone a favor. But I really, really think he's a game changer when he starts playing well. And if you watch USA Mexico, you've gotten a taste of it as of late. If the last game you saw was him in a Chelsea shirt, then I completely understand you killing me in the comment section right now, and I will take it and I will wear it as a cape. But Mykhailo Mudryk, we've all seen him in the U21 Euros. When this kid is comfortable, this kid can play really, really well, and he has become the best friend of that midfielder that is on the end of every one of his assists. Mudryk can cook. I just don't know if he can do it in the Premier League just yet.
I think he will, though. I think he will. I'm confident about it. And I would start Mykhailo Mudryk. I would bench Raheem Sterling, and I would sell Christian Pulisic.
and listen, Raheem Sterling has a history that is much richer than Christian Pulisic. I completely understand that. But as of late, what has Raheem Sterling done for anybody lately?
He did have bits too in the past for England in which he was important, but not important enough to win a title for England. So people, put down below your thoughts about this one. But this is a start bench sell. I'm extremely proud of my answer, because I'll answer first this one, because start bench sell with a Ronald Araújo, with a De Ligt, and with a Saliba. Okay, because I think people have big doubts, because Saliba had a big season for Arsenal. It's not anymore a Saliba that just performed in Liga. So De Ligt is not at his prime right now. So I'm going to say start Ronald Araújo. I would bench William Saliba, and I would unfortunately sell in this form Matthias De Ligt. I want to see the leader I once saw at Ajax. I think he's growing at Bayern, but it's clear to me that Ronald Araújo is the best center back in the world next to Ruben Dias. 100%. So I wanted to clearly state that.
Let's. Okay, I see only facts here. There are only facts here. So I am going to completely agree with you, and I'm not even really going to give you my reasoning. Although what I do see is I can see De Ligt forming an incredible partnership with Min Jae Kim at some point in the near future, whenever the heck that deal gets actually over the line. I think De Ligt with Upamecano has not necessarily worked out as well as people have wanted it to. De Ligt is the better of the two, and there's no doubt about that, but it seems tough. He's a Bayern player. He holds value. So, yeah, I'm still going to go Ronaldo Araujo. I'll start. I'll bench Saliba, and I'll sell De Ligt.
And if I put Gvardiol, would you still would you change Gvardiol from De Ligt? Would you change that order? Because Gvardiol,
yes.
Would you put him ahead of
Yes.
Saliba?
I would.
Okay.
I
That's why
would.
City's paying the 100 million.
And that's exactly. And that's coming from somebody that thinks Gvardiol didn't have necessarily last season and 100 million season, right? But you're buying also his future. You're buying this guy can turn into a behemoth.
That's true.
We know that. He is already world class, but he can do so much better. And I think he will do so much better. And I think that if they do spend, another 100 million on another defender, Manchester City, that is, Josko Gvardiol will not disappoint. I would actually, it's just whether or not, Ronaldo Araujo, I think you have to then bring into the conversation, dude, he's injury prone.
No, but he's fixing that.
He's
though.
injury prone.
He's fixing that though, because with time, a player as tall as he is, like you need to develop a lot your body muscle and all that. And I think he's finally got into that sweet spot in terms of recovery, a bit like Haaland too. I think Ronaldo Araujo and Haaland suffer because of their height and their body, but they win.
But he's got
he's got
how many years? He's got how many years the senior on Gvardiol?
Exactly.
Right.
No,
So
true.
Gvardiol, I mean, you could make that same argument about Gvardiol, but Gvardiol has been Iron Man for RB Leipzig. And he's been a massive part of the reason why they've won 2 trophies.
Yeah.
Even though Bayern continues to win the Bundesliga, they've at least got their first 2 trophies in the bag. I, believe it or not, think Gvardiol could do well with another season of Champions League football in the Bundesliga, but I don't think it's going to happen.
And I wanted to say too, it's disrespectful from ESPN not to put De Ligt in the top 10 list. Okay, he absolutely should be in the top 10 list, and it should be Ruben Dias number 1 with Ronaldo Araujo next to him. Okay, definitely. Ronaldo Araujo is ahead of De Ligt, Gvardiol, Saliba, all of them, in my opinion.
It's so bonkers just even thinking about that stuff. So anytime you rank a top 10 and you're as pervasive of a media outlet as ESPN is, you're inviting, I think this is what they want, but you're inviting so much interaction, mostly negative, because you're damned if you do, damned if you don't. But De Ligt, come on, like what he was doing at 18, it just pales in comparison. And he, while his trajectory has not been straight, he's just further proof that development is not a straight line up. It will never be a straight line up. But De Ligt is still a world-class defender that apparently you and I both want to sell.
Well, compared to Gvardiol and Saliba. But let me just do this one too, and then you can do me this one. Start bench sell with Jude Bellingham, with Camavinga, and with Pedri this season. Who would you start bench sell with these top 3 midfielders in terms of youngsters? Like, they're in the stage of their own. So who would you start bench sell with these 3 players? Because you must have an answer thought in your head.
I must. I feel like we've done this before, but I feel like the last time we did it, Pedri was injured. So in my mind, it made it so much easier. I think I'm going to start Bellingham. I'm going to bench Pedri, and I'm going to sell Camavinga because of his newfound versatility. And hey, if everyone's seen the video of Camavinga in goal with his family shooting on him, who knows? Maybe he could play goalkeeper
or
as well.
Striker.
But when it comes, or striker. And Stade Rennais, whatever. We just talked and waxed poetic about them. But listen, Jude Bellingham, I think it's because he's more primal, more like outgoing about his leadership, more
I think
verbal
he's
and more,
Pedri.
Yeah,
he's that unspoken
Pedri
leader.
does everything exactly. And I think right now, for some reason, they're phenomenal. Both of them are insane, right?
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes down to it, Pedri is definitely a better baller, right? Out and out baller. But those kind of intangibles, I think Jude Bellingham has that, like that will to win, that will to whatever. Now, Pedri has that will to win too, so I don't know what the heck I'm saying. But as of right now, I'm going to start Bellingham, I'm going to bench Pedri, and I'm going to sell Camavinga due to his versatility. And my goodness, this could change day to day.
It should be good as
What's
versatility, man. But I'm starting Pedri.
Yeah.
I am benching Jude Bellingham, and I'm selling to Camavinga. Pedri is an unspoken leader that the future of Barca depends on the future of Pedri too. I really believe next season, Pedri will be spoken in the top 3 midfielders talk. Pedri. He's going to be so important in the rhythm of Barcelona and the Champions League success that they will have too. I believe that will be the case. But
fair enough.
That was hard, man. It's a hard one. It's easy.
Hard.
But put down below your start bench sells until now and suggestions of start bench sells for us to do during this transfer window because we have time to speak about these things. But Breton, get me. You're telling me. You're telling me you had one. You had one to do, yeah.
Oh yes. I'm sorry. I just phased out for a second. All right, I got one for you. Enzo Fernandez, Moises Caicedo, and Manu Ugarte.
Oh, hey, that's a hard one. I really rate Ugarte, but I would start Enzo Fernandez because the importance he had for Argentina. They won a World Cup because of him. Obviously, Messi, the main player. Moises Caicedo. This development has been insane for Brighton, so I would bench him, and I would unfortunately sell Ugarte, that I think is a great signing from PSG. It hurts me so much to start Enzo, bench Caicedo, and sell Ugarte, because I really rate Ugarte so highly. One of the best young CDMs in the world, but Caicedo and Enzo, if those two are together at Chelsea, Pochettino has an elite midfield in the making, so...
Well, guess what? I think you and I would think that we are aligned here, but I do have a switch. Okay, I really do feel that Ugarte's performances in the Champions League for Sporting and how this guy Sporting were out in the group stage.
For Arsenal,
they were out in the group stage
Arsenal.
Against Arsenal, but they were out in the group stage. They went to the Europa League after that, out in the group stage, and he still led the Champions League in tackles won per 90, and he was second in tackles won overall. Okay, so Sporting, I mean, Manu Ugarte, I think, is another one that is just a destroyer presence. I think he's going to be one of the signings of the season, and I think PSG did right by overpaying right now for that amount. I mean, just think what Paulinho went for, how much, and how much of a success he was in the Premier League. Now look at Ugarte, many years his junior. Literally just continuing to figure out the game and continuing to excel exponentially. I honestly believe that this is my reasoning for still starting Enzo. I'm not that stupid. Benching Ugarte, and I'm going to sell Caicedo until he can do it in the Champions League or do it in Europe.
That's bold.
Now,
that's bold.
He did it in a World Cup for Ecuador. So he did. But coming from a guy who is so incredibly high on Caicedo and has been for years, I still think Ugarte did not get enough good press for what he did last season.
I agree. And a lot of Sporting players deserve more press, and they seem to get it after they leave the club. The likes of Palhinha, Bruno Fernandes, Nuno Mendes, Mateus Nunes, okay, he could be better, but he's a baller too. So it's like they deserve all the attention. And yeah, I like it. I like that take on Ugarte. And people, it's not too unreasonable to say that, like, considering that he will be a starter, 100% a starter at PSG. So yeah, tell us down below your start bench sell with that. But the last one, we have a bit of a help of Aguero in this one, because Aguero said to the world his top 3 strikers, ever in the history of football, and it had Thierry, it had Kun Aguero, and it had Ronald Nazario, R9. So, between these 3 players, Breton, that Aguero has told us, who would you start, bench, sell between Thierry, Ronald Nazario, and Luis Suarez?
Luis Suarez. Oh, God. This is just inviting.
It's inviting.
This is just biting like catastrophe in the comments section, buddy, for the enigma of what Ronaldo Nazario was and how dominant he was when he was that dominant. I'm going to say Ronaldo Nazario, I would start. Assuming we have the Ronaldo we're all talking about, right?
This is prime. This is prime, yeah. Prime
okay,
talk.
so this is prime. I would then bench Suarez, and I would sell Thierry Henry. And this is from a guy that had Thierry Henry on his wall growing up. Because 1998, I actually went to that World Cup. That probably just dated how old I am. But 1998 was one of the most kind of the craziest moments of my entire life. And Thierry Henry was the young guy amidst a bunch of older dudes making their statement at their home and winning France their first World Cup in 1998. And Thierry Henry then became one of my favorite players. Why am I selling him? Because Luis Suarez in his prime, where he was with Barcelona, was virtually unstoppable.
One of the best
times.
number 9s ever in the history of football.
Yes.
100%.
Yeah. I agree with that. Thierry Henry also had his moments, but I don't think as consistently as Luis Suarez was. Thierry Henry is still a legendary, but Ronaldo Nazario, I think, is head and shoulders above both of them in his prime.
Yeah, Ballon d'Or winner. Ballon d'Or winner too. So I would start Ronaldo Nazario, I would bench Luis Suarez, and I would sell Thierry. I believe Thierry is one of the best players that have never won a Ballon d'Or that deserve to win one.
Yes.
But Luis Suarez, as a number 9, he's the best I've ever seen. Okay? He was so special at Barca, and Ronaldo Nazario was so dominant at his peak. Ronaldo Nazario literally, like, he was called for Brazil, and Romário was called out. Okay, and Romário is one of the best strikers ever in the history of the game. So I'm going to reiterate: Ronaldo Nazario start, bench Luis Suarez, and selling Thierry. That is a baller too. But these two, greatness, man.
And anyone that ever wants to throw whatever the Eredivisie's way, both Ronaldo and Luis Suarez got their first calling in Europe, in the Netherlands. Right?
It's true.
And they both balled out there before they made
Groningen
so
and PSV. Great
absolutely.
mention.
It's really, really important to remember that the developmental, I mean, you need a place where you can play right away. That's why a lot of us were a little bit nervous when Vinicius Jr. signed right away for Real Madrid.
Good point.
Right? That's, and in the end, it's great that it has worked out very well, I might add. But there will always be thoughts that the first place you need to go is a place like Belgium or the Netherlands, or these days the Bundesliga will play a lot of youth. So that developmental step is absolutely key. And the Netherlands is just amazing at it.
But
so I'm hoping the same happens with Ricardo Pepi, buddy. But we'll see.
Or like what happened to Xavi Simons. That was elite.
Exactly.
But people, put down below your start bench sells you'd like us to talk and your answers of these start bench sells. And if you're listening until now, don't forget to like this video. And now, final topic. Under 21 tournaments has been phenomenal. Okay. And so many talents have brewed in to watch, okay? You must pay attention to a lot of these players. So before we get to it, do not forget to like this video for more topics just like this, and pay attention because now it's going to be exciting to see because it's an 11. The people will have answers and names that they can say to their friends, and I can assure you, a lot of these players that we're going to be mentioning in 5 to 10 years' time, they might be legends for their teams. I'm going to say that. So, goalkeeper, I think we got the same goalkeeper, James Trafford. Unreal he's been in the under 21 Euros for England. They haven't suffered a goal until the final. That's unreal, and that happens because of a leader in goal like James Trafford. So please pay attention to him, that he's going to Burnley too. So,
yeah, he's going to Burnley for quite a bit. And James Trafford is a Manchester City player who has not played necessarily a lick of Premier League football or first-tier football anywhere. He has actually spent his time at League One with the Bolton Wanderers. You're exactly right. And he's been good for them, but he hasn't been great. But he has stepped it up a notch in the U21 Euros. He's only 20, and £19 million seems a pretty penny to pay. But Manchester City has this down. let them go on loan, let them ball out, and then sell them because it's very unlikely that they wind up being that number one. And then, I don't know, buy him back later if they become absolute superstars. But James Trafford has not yet conceded a goal, and up until this final, and he's actually a massive reason why. And he's beating some really good other goalkeepers like Anatoly Trubin, who likely will be next in line to replace Andre Onana at Inter Milan if he goes to Manchester United. So James Trafford, just what I think it's a testament not just to England, but it's a testament to their whole defense.
And Mamadishvili of Valencia, the Georgian goalkeeper. That's a hard name to say, man.
Mamadishvili. Yes, he is phenomenal too. He was Valencia's goalkeeper last season. Might be making a move upwards at some point because Valencia needs cash and they need it soon. But he is a reason why Georgia did really, really well.
So goalkeepers, Mamadishvili, Trafford, Lunin, all played in the under 21 Euros and all deserve a move. So pay attention to these goalkeepers. So my defense of the under 21 Euros has James Trafford in goal. I have Juan Miranda at left back. I have Levi Colville and Taylor Hardwood-Bellis in defense. Like, I had to have the England defense, no goal suffer. Yeah. And then at the right, Vitor Gomez of Sporting Club de Braga. My two fullbacks too are in Spain because they have been successful. And Arnau Martinez, watch him, okay? Great player. He deserves a move too from Girona. Another great fullback in the Spanish national team. Under 21.
Daley Blin's new club, Girona, we might add. All right, well, my defense is actually a little bit different. I didn't go full on England. Actually, I did, just not the two center backs. But I'm going to go, goalkeeper is James Trafford, understandably so. Left back, I'm going to go with Maxime de Kuiper, Belgium. Big breakout tournament, huge talent for Westerlo, and could make a big move. My two center backs are Levi Colville, although you could put Taylor Hardwood-Bellis. I feel like they're interchangeable. But my other center back, I had to give a shout out to Georgia. I had to go with Saba Sazonov, who could be a really shrewd pickup for like a Ligue 1 team, a Serie A team. And my right back is going to be the converted right back, James Garner, who currently is contracted, if I'm not mistaken, to Everton. And dang it, Everton, play this man. Maybe not as a right back, but he has shown he can play right back. He is great from Manchester United's academy. He has been stellar for England at right back in the U21 Euros. And I hope it continues. I really, really would like to see him do well in the Premier League this season because he deserves it.
Interesting mentions. I like that. And yeah, I have just to say too, Georgia, you got to mention Georgia in terms of defense. What you mentioned now, Sazonov and Mamardashvili. Okay, these two players, they didn't start in my team at least, but they deserve the moves. It's not just Kvisha Kvaratskhelia. So Georgia were unbelievable in these under 21 Euros. But we might be mentioning some wingers forward. But midfielders, under 21 midfielders. My best midfield has Tonali. He was clearly like a class of his own in the CDM. Kakre was special too, but Tonali I'm gonna put ahead. I'm gonna put Morgan Gibbs-White, that he's been immense. Okay, He's got 5 goals and 8 assists in the Premier League. Clearly better than a lot of the rest. And my other player is Ryan Cherky. So my midfield has Tonali, Morgan Gibbs-White, and Ryan Cherky at the 10 role. Because Cherky, the talent, like the eloquence, this is a top player at Lyon. I hope next season he grabs the opportunity and he becomes a star in a league that needs stars when Mbappé leaves. So come on, Ryan Cherky.
Yeah, this was, I mean, I have Gibbs-White placed elsewhere in this, mainly because I'm trying to pigeonhole him.
But it's hard not to put Baena and Blanco in my end, because the Spain midfield has been unreal. If I'm any team, I'm getting Antonio Blanco. Seeing Real Madrid sign non-stop midfielders, top midfielders too, I don't want to say they're bad, but Antonio Blanco's there, 22 years old, sign him up! What a player! Makes a difference.
I'm with it.
Oh, and Baena to a Villarreal.
And that's why, this final is so fitting in a lot of ways. Antonio Blanco, if you talk about the Spanish team in the U21 Euros, you're going to talk about all the goals they've scored, right? They've scored the most out of everyone in the tournament up until the final, 13 goals. And you're not going to talk that much about Antonio Blanco, but he's a big reason why they have that setting to be able to then go and attack, right? Whereas England, you're going to talk more about that defense, rightfully so, when their offense is just as good.
Cole Palmer,
right?
man.
Jacob Ramsey and Cole Palmer and what's his name? Gomez in the middle has been phenomenal for them and more of like a whole role. Angel Gomez. But you're going to talk mostly about their defense. Why? Because they conceded 0 goals and have 5 straight clean sheets up until this final. So it's pretty crazy that, Antonio Blanco gets kind of kicked out of here because we're going to have a whole lot of Spanish players probably in our inner forwards. So anyway, I just had to say that because there's, a team is a team.
Yeah,
my
true.
midfield's a little bit weird. I have Sandro Tonali, but I had to bring up, like, anytime Oscar Glauc was on the field for Israel was a much better team. Now they wound up, getting kicked out, but like
Losing to England,
dude, semi-final in your first U21 Euros, Oscar Glauc, that ain't happening if you didn't have Oscar Glauc. It's that simple. And he's one of the youngest players in this particular tournament. So I think he deserves to be there, even though, yes, I 100% agree Morgan Gibbs-White has taken England to the final, right? But they're like 4 years difference there, and I wanted to put Oscar Glauc in the spotlight. The other guy I'm going to bring up is Georgi Sudakov, Shakhtar, Ukrainian player, gets on the end of Mudrik's phenomenal playmaking ability, but 3 goals in 5 games. You could tell there was a connection between the two of them, and Sudakov just was phenomenal, in my opinion. And if you're not sniffing around Shakhtar Donetsk for a new player, this kid was 20 years old, and he could definitely take a step up.
What a game against France. What a game against France he had. Like 2 goals against France, 3-1 win.
Yep.
Clear impact from Mudryk too. So great mention that you're doing at Sudakov. Like Shakhtar losing maybe Sudakov and Andriy Lunin in one transfer window. Under 21 euros ain't helping them. No, financially they are. So, but mentioning
snap back to normalcy some, except we don't have the Brazilian contingent in Shakhtar anymore. And one day maybe we'll have that back, and I hope it's someday soon.
Let's see, like with the forwards now of the under 21 Euros, they can be hard, but my choices were clear. I have at left wing, I have Sergio Gomes. My striker is Abel Ruiz. I really think Abel Ruiz was the best striker in the under 21 Euros next to Zeki Abdouni. He has 3 goals and his 2 assists are absolutely vital in the build-up play that it shows by being involved with that. Abel Ruiz and my other winger is Mudryk. Mudryk's impact for Ukraine is insane, okay? And Mudryk was one of the best players in the under 21 Euros. Seeing Mudryk there, Levi Colville, Sandro Tonali, Sergio Gomes, like Openda was there. The talent collection of the under 21 Euros was insane. And I want to give a special shout out to the Georgian wingers of Daviachili and Stavshvili. Okay, I'm butchering these 2 players, but they're excellent wingers. One at Dinamo Batumbi and another one at Bordeaux. Pay attention to these Georgian wingers because it's not just Kvaratskhelia. It's Daviachili and Stavshvili. I'm sorry for butchering them, but they're ballers. But they're ballers.
An attempt.
Pay attention.
It was a solid attempt. Oh, I give you an A for effort, F for performance. But I think I would love to see them on larger levels. Yes. I'd love to see them make a move. And at least, those Georgian wingers, I forget which one it was, but he gave us probably the goal of the tournament.
It was Tiashvili.
Yeah. Okay. I'm not even going to attempt it because you already have. But I like it. And I think really the only difference here is my right wing. I think Mudryk was definitely good enough to be here. I think Barcola gets a shout.
Yes.
Heck, I think if, you could go a full Spanish front line and put Rodri Sanchez, the Real Betis player, up here as well. But I didn't do any of that. I do have Sergio Gomes at left wing. I have Abel Ruiz at the top. And then my right winger, I pigeonholed here because he's not a winger. But I threw Morgan Gibbs-White here, which I know is the wrong thing to do because, come on, you have to be tactically perfect.
No Anthony Gordon.
Just hold it. No Anthony Gordon yet. No. And no Cole Palmer, who actually is an out-and-out right winger, right? I mean, he could have been here based on his semifinal performance alone. So it's great to see. And listen, England is playing Spain. England hasn't won since 1984, the last time they were in the final. They gave us gems in 2009 with Lee Cattermole, Mark Noble, Micah Richards, James Milner and Joe Hart were all on the pitch in some capacity for England back when they were in a U21 Euro final. So how's that for a blast from the past? Whereas Spain have now made, let me see if I get this right.
They've won 6.
5. They've won 6, and they have 5 of the last 7 finals that they've taken a part in.
Oh,
Spain, if you need to understand it, Spain obviously is a whole lot more than Iniesta, Xavi, Busquets, but my goodness, that was a golden portion of their time. But they have been routinely generating some of the best talent on the planet for years.
that's true.
For years. And it's really impressive. And I think England has caught up dramatically, caught up massively, because if you look at some of the players and what we know that they'll likely go on to do for this U21 Euro team, it's really, really impressive.
And
so 2 very deserving teams in this final, and getting to this final, because they have been dominant for the most part all along the way.
A lot of these players, they were too, like Abel Ruiz, Juan Miranda, they were in under 17 World Cup final that they played against England too. So it's interesting to see how in the future everything seems to pan out, and they go against each other once again. Oh, it's so interesting.
Yes,
but I don't want to forget the Dutch talents and the Portuguese talents, okay? Pedro Neto, Chico Sessão, Fábio Silva, João Neves being there too. João Neves was instrumental for Portugal. We went through in the knockout stages because of João Neves' goal, and be excited to watch João Neves next season at Benfica. Wanted to say that. And the Dutch talents with Brian Brobby, Kenneth Taylor, Quinton Timber. You had many, many good players. And Belgium too. Sorry. De Bast. You got just even like the goalies.
Kuiper.
Kuiper, yeah. You have Martin van der Voort one side. Then you have Bart. That's Bart. Verbruggen. That's going to Brighton. So a lot of good players from the Dutch team and the Belgian team. But in terms of performance, Spain and England definitely have an edge. But let's saying our 11s. Just wanted to say my best under 21 Euros. My best under 21 Euros 11 has James Trafford in goal. It has Juan Miranda, Levi Colville, and Tyler Arwood-Bellis. At center back with Vitor Gomez at the right back. And then in my 3 in midfield, I have Sandro Tonali, I have Ryan Cherky and Morgan Gibbs-White, and my fun trio has Mudryk, it has Abel Ruiz, come on Braga, and it has Sergio Gomes. But shout out to Anthony Gordon, and 2 players being of Sporting Club Braga, Abel Ruiz and Vitor Gomes.
There you go. All right, my 11 is, we have a lot of similarities here, but some different. Okay. My 11 for the U21 Euros is goalkeeper is James Trafford. My left back is Maxim de Kuiper of Belgium. My 2 center backs are Levi Colville of England and Saba Sazonov. Big shout out to Georgia. Right back is converted right back James Garner for England. My midfield is Tonali, Italy, Oscar Glauc. Key for Israel's semifinal run, Georgi Sudikov for Ukraine. And my front, I love that you call it a trio. My front trio is Sergio Gomez and Abel Ruiz, and then I threw Morgan Gibbs-White up there, who played a little more advanced, but there are so many names here. This is why you got to pay attention to these youth tournaments. It's wonderful, wonderful. And right now, U21 Euros is ending. U19 Euros is just starting out, and right now it looks like Spain is one of the hottest teams to watch. So definitely start paying attention to that. Or follow the podcast, and we'll be doing that. Portugal too. Oh yeah.
Hugo Felix.
Hugo Felix. Yeah.
Yeah, man. Hugo Felix, 2 goals, 2 assists already in the under 19 European competition. Rodrigo Ribeiro. There's many players. Duke Briost. I love that player. So people, pay attention to our under 19 team. And Gonçalo Ribeiro, the goalkeeper. Great goalkeeper too from Futebol Clube do Porto. But people, did we forget any name? Let us know in the comments section. And if you're listening until now, don't forget to like this video. Oi, another podcast is done. If you want to mention any topic that we forgot to mention, put down below in the comment section. Do not forget to like episode 103 because this was a long one with so much that we have mentioned. I am sweating. Yeah. The heat here in Portugal. It's the 4th hottest day ever in worldwide, okay, in the globe. That is fact. So here in Portugal, we ain't stopping. And we may have surprises to announce. No, we not may have. We do have surprises to announce next month. Okay, we're about to go bold again next month. So people, if you know, you know, and if you don't, you need to follow more podcasts. Thank you for listening until now, and thank you for going bold, people.